Welcome back to Blue Collar Coder. I'm Jack Harrington, and I'm really excited to bring you today's video. It's on full site federation. So what does that mean? Well, in the past, we've had, monolithic sites. So your big Java app has a big piece of, jQuery or Angular or Vue or React on top of it. That is essentially just one big old app. And then we moved to Node, and we took that same site and we broke it up into multiple applications. So you'd have a homepage application, and you'd have a checkout application, you have a search application. But some things took a hit along the way. For example, sharing components became kind of tough. Sharing anything in general became kind of arduous. And so we stopped sharing stuff, and things started to diverge as different teams on different applications would go in different directions. You can get that kind of divergence. Another thing that took a hit was that we lost the ability really to do single page applications easily, which are really important when it comes to performance for the customer. It's a much better and faster experience to use it to engage with a single page application as opposed to one of these microsite type applications. All right, so module federation brings all that stuff back. It's great. It makes it easy to share components between apps, and it makes it easy to build out spas. And that was what we call a fully federated site. So what I've done is I've spent a lot of time and created an example application for you that has an example site that has three applications. It's got a home page application, it's got a search page application, and it's got a checkout application. All of those talk to and share node modules between each other. And then those rest on top of two different microservices. So first part of the video, I'm going to go and explain all that architecture to you, and then step by step, we're going to turn that into a federated site, a fully federated site. Then in the second part of the video, we're going to go and use that fully federated site with Cypress and actually perform an E2E test on the site right there. It's great. And it's very difficult to do in a standard non-federated microsite model. And then third, and you're going to love this, we're going to go and bring in the module federation dashboard finally. We're going to hook in the dashboard plugin into our Webpacks, and we're going to see it in the dashboard so you get visibility on how the system is all working. It's really exciting. I can't wait. Let's jump into the code. So what we're looking at here is an e-commerce page. Actually, it's an e-commerce site. There's three sites. There's 8080, 8081, and 8082. 8080 is home. 8081 is search, and 8082 is checkout. So let's just jump back to 8080, and you can actually use this to traverse all of the site. You add the stuff to cart, go into search. Now you have two items in there, add some more. And if you hit checkout, you actually clear from the cart. Nice. All right, let's go have a look over at the architecture diagram. So this is available to you in Markdown. It's on GitHub. So I put a link to that in the description. So at the top, we've got home and search and checkout. And those connect to some shared components. Well, what's one actually, add to cart. They also connect to a header component that we call frame because it actually contains the whole page. So we have two microservices, products, which has the list of products, the Pokemon in this case, and then cart, which is a persistent cart store. So if you're on 8080 or 8081 or 8082, it doesn't really matter. You're connecting to the same cart in the background, and that's why you can see that value increment as you go. So all of the applications connect to Logic, which has our API endpoint wrappers, and also the Redux store is in another node module that's a store module. So the first thing we want to do is move add to cart into the checkout application. And to do that, we've got to start by actually enabling module federation on all of these applications. They're all on Webpack 5, but they haven't actually had module federation enabled yet. So let's first go clone ourselves a site. So we actually have a federated directory and a non-federated directory already. Each one of those has an entire complete set of the applications and the node modules and the services. But federated has already been federated. So I'm just going to remove that, and then we're going to redo that. So we're going to copy across non-federated into federated, and then we're just going to go through step by step and federate it. Let's go into federated, bring up VS Code, and the first thing we're going to do is move add to cart. So let's bring that up. But what we really want to do is enable module federation. So we're going to bring in module federation into the checkout. And then we're going to go and add that plugin. And the first thing we're going to do is name it. I'm going to call it checkout. I was going to say it's a library of type var, name of checkout, same thing. And that we're going to use a standard remote entry. And then, well, I know already that we're going to go and import all of the applications. They're all going to be cross-linked. So let's just go and put those all in for remotes already. And we're just going to bring in all of the basics. So that would be including React, React DOM, the Bootstrap, the icons, React Query that we're going to use to do the queries, and React Redux and Redux. Okay, let's copy that into home. And then change the name to home. And then do the same thing for search. Great. Awesome. All right. Now I need to go in and update the index.html files. So at the head of each one of these, we're going to bring in those remote entries. So we're going to bring in all of them, even though in the beginning, they're not all going to resolve, because unless you expose something, you don't actually get a remote entry. But that's okay. We're just going to get some 404s on the scripts, and that's no big deal. All right, let's fire it up. All right, looking pretty good. I mean, it's exactly the same thing as it was before, actually, honestly. The module federation plugin's really not doing anything at this point because we're not exposing anything. So let's go fix that. So let's move that add to cart over into checkout, just as is. And then we're going to go delete that components node module. And we're also going to go and delete the reference, which is NF ecom components, so non-federated e-commerce components. So we need to go and remove that because otherwise it's just, package JSON is going to blow up and Webpack's not going to be happy. So let's go remove a bunch of that stuff. But here we're going to go and change add to cart to get it from checkout. And we're just going to say we want add to cart in there. And actually it's being exported as just the default. So we need to fix that as well. So now we've gone and removed all the connections. Let's change the last add to cart reference. All right, looking pretty good, looking pretty clean. All right. So the next thing I need to do is expose it. So we're going to use /add to cart and put it on source add to cart. And then fire it up. And let's remove all the old versions. Oops. And I used the wrong name. I called it cart instead of checkout. Let's fix that. And fire it up one more time. Hey, looking great. So now let's actually make a change to that. Let's go in and make a change and say, well, we want a variant success on that. That's going to change the blue button to a green button. And it changes everywhere. And that's great. So that's actually now we're live sharing add to cart from the checkout project into the home and search projects. And anytime I make a change and redeploy checkout, it's going to change automatically in those other two apps. All right, let's remove that. Next thing to do, let's go check out our little list. The next thing to do is to move frame into home. I guess the homepage team has decided that they want to hold on to the header. So let's go do that. Let's go over here and grab frame, drop it into home. So we're going to remove the directory, and then we're going to remove that from the parent package JSON. And then out of home, we're going to expose frame. And so now we go back through and find out any place that we go and reference that NF ecom frame and either remove it or alter it. So here we're going to alter it into home frame. And again, cool. All right, find is reporting clean. Okay, let's fire it up again. All right, looking pretty good, but we really don't know, right? Let's go and make a small change. Pokemon 2, the sequel. Oh, looking great. Let's go to all our different apps. Looking really good. This is great. Trucking right along. The next thing to do is to move the Redux store into checkout. So this is in the logic section because it's not actually components. It's just a Redux reducer in a store. So let's go and find that. And the first thing we're going to do is just rename it to store. So if you copy it over, it's just going to remove that index file. So let's drop that in there into checkout as store.js. And we'll export that as well. Now it requires Redux Thunk. So we're going to go and bring that into checkout. You got to bring along any dependencies, right? And then bring that into the Webpack config. And of course, we got to do that same thing as before. We got to remove anything nf-ecom store. Because we're removing these node modules one by one. So anywhere we're going to say import store. In this case, we're going to say import store from checkout. So checkout store. Great. And it's used by all three apps because all three apps have a Redux store. Okay, let's go back over here and start it up again. All right, looking pretty good. We can't really change anything. You know, it is a store. It's tough to tell, so, but it certainly works. That's a good sign. Certainly adds stuff to the store. That's great. Okay. All right. The next thing to do is to move our business logic wrappers. So in this case, because search deals with products, we're going to move the product stuff into search. And because checkout deals with cart stuff, we're going to move the cart API wrappers into checkout. But that doesn't mean that they're not accessible to everyone. We're going to share them out so that anybody can use them. In this case, like for example, home can use the product API wrapper to go and get Pokemon by ID, which is what it does on the homepage. All right, let's go and grab out the stuff to deal with products. So let's get image, get search Pokemon, and get Pokemon by ID. Let's grab that, and we're going to create a, let's see, products maybe file. Products.js, great. Drop that in there. And now let's export those. Great. So now we're going to expose that /src/products file. And let's go see where it's being used. Get image. Go try and find that. All right, so we need to disambiguate that a little bit. So I'm going to import get image from search products. All right, both of those are search products things. No problem. Let's see. Okay. Looking pretty good. All right, now we got to deal with the cart stuff. So we're probably going to do the similar sort of thing over in cart. Let's go grab those API wrappers and then go over in the checkout project. Create a new file called cart.js. Do the same sort of thing, export those. And finally, we're going to clean up this last module. So we're going to expose that and then go and change out any references to it. So let's see, get cart items. Cool. Make that small change to checkout in the cart. And we'll go fix add to cart. And this is a bit trickier. There's a lot of add to carting around because it's also a component name. And then checkout. I know where that is, so I'm just going to go over to the checkout page and make that change. Only one place we do that. But interestingly, you know, even though it's local, even though it's literally right next door, we're going to bring it in from checkout cart because you can always do the loopback on yourself, right? If you expose it, you can also consume it. Okay. I think we're looking good. Let's remove that folder and remove any references to NF ecom logic. Let's go over into the parent package JSON, fix that up, and then we'll see yarn start. All right, looking really good. So now we've got 3 applications and 2 microservices. All of those node modules are gone, right? It's just the different parts and pieces of all these applications talking between one another and sharing code between one another that's relevant to themselves, but also to other applications. Okay, now we want to make it a spa though, right? We're still jumping from 8080 to 8081 to 8082, and that's kind of crazy. So let's go and bring in React Router DOM and make this a spa. So that needs to come over into home. So we're going to bring in React Router DOM and add it to our list of shared. And then we're going to bring in a bunch of stuff from React Router DOM, right? So because we're in the browser, we're just going to bring in Browser Router as the parent router. And then we're going to bring in switch, and that's going to help us switch between pages. You bring in route, that's going to specify this content for this route, and link, which is going to give us the software, the soft link between each one of these routes. So let's wrap the whole thing in a router first. And now let's drop that switch in there where the children used to be. So we're no longer going to use children. It used to be where the header was on top, and then the children would go into the container, right? So we're going to invert that. Now we're going to use a switch in there, and we're going to just put all those routes in there. So we're going to need //search/checkout. And now what we need to do is, well, this is a little bit like cheating, but I've gone and actually created home content, checkout content, and search content for each one of these projects. And that's basically whatever was in the body of the frame is that content. So let's go and share out all those as well. We're going to call, checkout content. The same thing at home, just call it home, but it's really home content. And finally, search. We're going to go back over here and, well, you know what? Let's just bring in these imports very quickly. So we're going to bring in the lazy imports of these routes. And the reason that we're doing that is that we don't want these routes loaded before the customer actually wants to engage with them. So we're going to lazy load them. And then we're going to create some wrappers. In this case, like for example, home route is going to be a suspense. It's just going to fall back to nothing with home in it. And then we're going to do the same thing for search and for checkout. And let's drop those into the appropriate spot. There we go. Great. Now let's yarn start that up. All right, and it's back to looking pretty good. But the problem is that we're not actually using the links yet. We have the same links as we did before, and those are hard-coded to like 8080 and 8081, all that. So let's go change those links up at the top of the page. So let's change out the home link to a link. And in that model, you have a to. So we're going to say link to slash. Same thing over here, link to slash. And then for search, link to /search. And finally, for the checkout, we just do a link instead of the anchor tag. There you go. Looking pretty good. Now this is really cool. So watch the URL here. I'm actually going from page to page, and it's all on 8080. There's the really fun part. I can go to any of these. I can go to 8081, 8082, and go to any of those sites, and they will all serve the entire experience. How cool is that? So that is what I would say is the essence of a fully federated site. And just to show you how this changes performance-wise, let's just load up one page, and then as we roll along, so we're on the home page right now, and as we jump over into the search page, all we do is add a single file for that route. And then we go to the checkout, and we just add a single file yet again. Very clean. If we were to do the same thing over on the federated side, just fire that up so we can compare. Let's bring up the inspector. And now I'm on the home page. You see that we got the big bundles in there. Now we go to the next route, and we get essentially all the same bundles again, except for the search version of it. And then finally you go into checkout, and you get yet another set of bundles, right? And that's a huge drag on the customer experience. So let's go back and look at that markdown file. Now that we've done the conversion, we can take a look at each one of these. At the top, if you take a look at, for example, the add to cart perspective, both home and search connect to add to cart. And then from the frame perspective, all the applications connect to frame. And then frame, in turn, connects to everybody else. That's kind of neat. When it comes to the business logic, home and search both talk to the product logic to go and get products. And then checkout is the primary client of all that cart logic. So it kind of loops back on itself. And then finally, when it comes to the store, everybody just directly depends on that store. So now we've done all that. Let's go and have some fun. Let's go and add in Cypress. And this is an E2E framework. It's really cool. And we're going to add it into home. It doesn't really matter which one you put it in, but I'm just going to only put it in one. So we can see I'll add in there Cypress open. Great. And we'll create a new test and /Cypress/integration. Call it simple spec. Say check out some stuff. And we should check out some stuff. So we're going to go to 8080, and then we're going to click on the first button and see how that works. So let's go fire this up. Looking good. That's really nice UI right there. Okay. And it's not running, but that's because I'm not actually running the site. So let's go back and run the site. So again, I've got all 3 servers running, but I'm just going to use 8080. Okay, cool. And it's gone and it's added. It's automatically run that test. It's gone to that site and it's added one item to the cart. Very cool. So let's try this again. Let's go over to search and fire it up again. And notice now we've actually got 3 items in the cart. And that's because, again, that microservice sitting in the background, that's actually persistent. So no matter how many times we go through it, we're just going to keep adding and adding and adding items in the cart, which is not great. All right, let's try one more link. Let's go to checkout. So we need to go and actually, because checkout actually clears the cart, we need to go and do checkout first, which is kind of counterintuitive, but that's fine. So let's go here. First thing you go, let's go to checkout and then click on that first button, which is the checkout button. Let's document this a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is open up the page. We're going to go to that checkout tab, click to clear the checkout, and then we're going to click checkout to clear that cart. We're going to go to the home page, click the first button, go to the search page, and click the first button, go to the checkout page, and let's see what we do. Okay, so now when we run it, we get 2 predictably every time, the Caterpie and the Bulbasaur. So now let's look for the total. Okay, we don't have a total yet, so we need to go and modify the code in checkout to go and add in that total. Here's the cool part though, right? I'm making the change in cart, but my test is actually running in home. Let's see if this works. Okay, now we have a ID of total at the end. Let's go check the value, and it looks great. Everything's clean, running fine. So that is really cool. And if you changed the script tags in the head section of those index HTMLs to point to production with everything but your code, right? So if you're working on, let's say, home, and you were to change the script tag to go to search in production and checkout in production, you could actually create a test that included all the production code except for your home project. Isn't that really neat? Okay, so the last thing I want to do is I want to show you that dashboard. I'm so excited about this. So let's go and add in our module federation dashboard plugin to each one of these projects as a development dependency. First checkout, bring it in there. And we're going to define it. So we're going to say we want a dashboard plugin, and we're going to give it the URL of our dashboard, which is a Docker instance. We don't have it yet, but it's going to be on localhost 3000. You can put it anywhere, but for the moment, it's just run on localhost. And I'm going to give it the API update endpoint. And then that metadata is where you tell it where your code is. So the source URL is sort of the base point for your code in your project. And then the remote is whatever your remote is. And now we're going to fire up that Docker container that has the dashboard in it. And it's going to blow up because we don't have a dashboard data directory. So let's go make one. That's where it's going to store its dashboard data persistently. It's ready to go. Now, when you click it, you see this nice little Material UI dashboard. Here's a little intro on getting started with federated modules. And all about the plugin. And now we're going to build. You can start or you can build, whichever. But that dashboard plugin is going to kick in, and it's going to go and add that data to the dashboard. And you can see that over in the console over here, adding home. And now let's go back in here, and now we can see, and this is really cool, this is showing us that home is exporting itself, home, and it's exporting frame, and it's also consuming them. So that little up arrow means that it's exporting it, and the cloud down arrow, 1, means that it's consuming it once in one location. And it also tells you what it's outputting for the overrides or the shared. Now, all this is going to change. This is just very alpha software I'm showing you here. So let's do the same thing for search. And also for checkout. And now, since we've got multiple projects, it's going to actually get a little bit better. It's going to show you a couple of different visualizations on this. So here is one. It's a directed graph visualization. But let's go back to that table for a second just to show you how it all works out. So this is a really cool way to figure out who's exporting and consuming what. So let's just look at the top, right? So along the top, you've got search, checkout, and home. And then those are the different apps. And then you got the modules. And let's say, look at search for a second. It's exported by search and then imported by home. And that's because frame is in home and frame's consuming it. Now, if I click on, like, for example, add to cart, I can see who it's used by. I can see where that it's defined as a file. And I get a little bit of information on how to use it, which is really cool. I can go into the checkout project and I can see its modules, the items it's sharing, and what it's consuming. And I can click over here on dependencies and get an entire list of all the package.json dependencies and what versions they are. And if it's in italics, that means it's a dev dependency. If it's not italic, it means it's a regular dependency. And if it's red, that means that I'm including it as a direct dependency, but I'm not actually sharing it, which could be problematic. And the last thing I want to show you is new, and that actually tells you how to integrate module federation into your application. And let's have a little bit more fun. Let's look over that node graph. This is a directed node graph, and it shows you all the connections between your different parts and pieces. And there's also this spiffy looking chord graph that basically shows you the same type of data. So we're going to be upgrading this and evolving this dashboard as we go. So if you have any input on that, be sure to put that in the comments or reach out to me directly at @Jahur on Twitter. Well, I hope you like that. I certainly enjoyed building out all the example code. What I really want you to do is to go and clone this from GitHub and just try it out for yourself. Does this feel right to you? When are you still going to use node modules? When and how? Get a sense by using this example app of what a good site looks like to you with this new toolkit that we call Module Federation. All right. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put those down in the comment section below. I'm always looking forward to that. It's been great. Go check out the community tab and engage yourself in that. I'm sure I'll be putting up some polls and asking some questions pretty soon. In the meantime, if you like this video, just hit that like button, let everybody know. And if you really like this video, hit that subscribe button. Click on that bell and you'll be notified the next time a new video like this is out. In the meantime, just be good to each other.